Hey there, welcome to Professor Purl, a YouTube channel about knitting. I'm Nicole and this is episode 50. I'm really excited to talk to you about my knitting today. Since I last recorded, spring break happened. There's only 2.5 weeks left in my semester. I'm a professor that likes to knit. That's how the YouTube channel gets its name. And so yeah, I finished a couple things. I have 2 finished objects. I have some really fun things I'm looking forward to knitting, and I'm excited to chat about that with you today. I have 2 fun finished objects to share today. Maybe about a month ago, 2 or 3 episodes ago, I was watching Emily from High Fiber Knits, and she crocheted an e-reader cozy. And when I saw her crochet this e-reader cozy, I just thought, that is so neat. And shortly thereafter, Leslie from Knit California released a call for a test knit for an e-reader cozy, and knitting's just easier than crochet for me, and there was a pattern. I was just really excited to apply for that test knit, and I was selected, and I knit this e-reader cozy in a day or 2. It's a very fast knit, and so you didn't even see this as a work in progress on the YouTube channel. I applied for the test knit the whole thing. It's a very, very, very quick knit and so cute. So my Kindle, I have a Kindle Paperwhite, is inside of here. Now, Leslie designed this so that you can use any gauge. She has a gauge calculator for it. She has a gauge that you can get and then stitch counts that go with that. But if you don't want to follow that, she has a gauge calculator, which is what I did. I think that I'm a much looser knitter than her because just for fun, I cast on the amount that she suggested, and I started to knit it, and it was like double the size. And so I knew that I needed to do my own situation. I didn't want to knit a gauge swatch since it's so tiny. I just kind of thought my e-reader will be the gauge swatch. So yeah, so it just slides right in there. So cute. Cute, right? And she has 2 versions. One that has an I-cord that you can do elastic, which I probably should have selected because I had to sew in snaps. I wanted the snaps. Her version on Instagram with snaps looked really clean and cute, and I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and so I'll show you my snap I'm proud of sewing. This is my snap I'm proud of sewing, and then this is the one I'm not proud of. It looks a little sloppy. So, and the sewing slowed me down. I could have done this in like a day or 2, and then of course I waited and didn't sew the snaps in, but cute. And it uses very little yarn. It's something you could do with scraps, honestly. I used fingering held double. I think Leslie's pattern suggests using fingering held double, though I think you could use a decoy. I mean, the options are endless here. I mean, you could do fingering held double, you could do DK. Because she has a gauge calculator in her pattern, you could probably even use worsted and just use her gauge calculator. So I used Arkansas Yarn Company. They had a colorway that was part of their Sock Society box that I always loved, but I just didn't know what I was going to do with it. And it was called Sunset on Summer, and it's glitter. I don't know if you can tell. And so I decided to kind of pull that out and use it. I could have used scraps, but I just thought it would be fun to use one of the single skeins. It's special because, yeah, so I liked the way the skein looked, and then I thought it kind of matched my Kindle itself. And so I thought that would be really fun to do. I did not modify the pattern at all because it's a test knit. However, I will say since I knit the version that has this like purl ridge and you put snaps, she in her pattern has you fold it over and sew it down, and I just prefer to not sew whenever possible. So what I did instead, and it worked out fine, is I did a kind of like a 3 needle bind off. I folded it and then just did I just knit into that row, and I made sure that I was doing the same V's all the way across. So yeah, I love this so much, and this pattern comes out this week. Actually, by the time I edit this podcast and this is up on YouTube, this very well could be a pattern you can purchase now. And so, yay! This is my first cozy for my Kindle. I've just never had it in anything. So my husband Kyle thought it was really funny that I basically knit a sweater for my Kindle. Like, really funny. He's like, what's next? Is somebody gonna knit a cozy for an iPad? And actually in the test knit group, somebody was like, oh, you could do this for an iPad. I might do this. And I haven't checked. I'm really terrible at checking Discord, so I haven't looked to see if that actually did happen, but I thought it was funny that like Kyle's making a joke and somebody was like, yeah, I'll knit a cozy, which made me wonder, like, do you have an e-reader? Like, would you knit a cozy for it? And also, like, if you've knit a cozy for something, what's the funniest thing you've knit a cozy for? That might be a dangerous question to ask on YouTube. I'm going to share my second finished object, which is the Summer Secret Crop by Jessie Maed Designs. I've made the Diaphanous Raglan from Jessie Maed, the Outline Tank, and now the Summer Secret Crop. This was so fun to knit. Does it look like it's glowing through the screen? Like it's glowing in person. This yarn is Wildstar fibers in the colorway Laser Tag, and it is a variegated yarn, as you can see, but I love how it knit up. There aren't these like large like pooled stripes, which I think is nice for a garment, but it is variegated. Oh my gosh, it's glowing. It's hard to tell, but the colors are like white, yellow, green, and blue in there, but all like neon. In March, I finished a Musselburgh hat and I loved it. And it was really like Professor Mom life, like what I needed, because it was round and round and round knitting. But the weather's warming up and I just wanted something other than a hat to knit. And so I thought this project might like fill my bucket in that way, and it did. Because the construction of this is knit bottom up, and so you cast on and basically it's round and round for a big chunk of the pattern, as you can see. Like this is just round and round. And then you switch to knitting the front, and the front was really intuitive, and basically I didn't need to use my pattern once I knew what I needed to do. It's a 2-row repeat essentially. And then the straps also were like pretty intuitive too on how to do. So for me, this was actually kind of like knitting a Musselburgh really, and the sewing was minimal on it. I just sewed the straps down. Yeah, so it just really filled my bucket because I used just one skein of yarn from my collection. I think I have 11 grams left, which means I use more yarn than the pattern called for, which I'll talk about. But first I want to talk about like why I loved this so much, knitting it. Is I loved the construction and I loved being able to use one special skein. I also loved that it was a free pattern. Like, thank you, Jessie. And more than that, I loved that like nearly all sizes can use one skein. I actually don't want to say all because I didn't double check it before I recorded, but I remember looking at it and being like, wow, like nearly all, if not all, sizes use one skein because it's supposed to fit with negative ease and be cropped. Now I just said I knit mine and had 11 grams left, which means I used almost a whole skein, and so I'll explain why I used almost a full skein. So the reason why I used almost a whole skein is I changed the gauge of the pattern. So the pattern calls for 17 stitches per 4 inches. So that means like in a 4-inch spot, 17 stitches. For me, that gauge, I would need to do DK or worsted, like it's just, or I would have to have like the loosest, gauziest tank top, which I didn't want. I wanted a tank top that like I couldn't see my body behind it when I wore it, like underneath the fabric, like when I'm holding my skin up. You kind of can a little bit, like, but I wanted it to be a denser gauge. So I changed the gauge of the pattern. So that's one reason why. So my gauge was smaller, so I'm going to use more yarn. The other reason why mine use more yarn is because I knit mine to be longer here. Like mine's still very cropped, but it is about 1.5 inches longer than suggested in the pattern. So it's kind of like a double whammy here. I was using a smaller gauge and I knit mine 1.5 inches longer. So I ended up using almost all my yarn in a skein, which I thought was so cool because I bought this yarn 2 years ago at the Rosa Yarn Crawl, and it was just such a special skein. I wanted to use it for something special. I didn't know if it would be socks or a hat, but now it's a tank top. Yes. Okay. I will try this on for you soon so you can see the fit of it. But now that I've knit this, I think I would make some modifications. I am not a tank top expert. I've knit 2 tank tops. The Outline Tank by Jessie Maed, and then this one. and in both cases, I think I've learned things about fit that I'm like, okay, I want to change this or that. So, okay, where will I start on the fit? I think the first is back here. There's like some ribbing on the back side. In the pattern, she has you stay in the main needle and tells you to bind off loosely. I actually think I would do, from my body and the fit that I like, I think I would switch back down to a smaller ribbing needle, and I don't think I would do a stretchy bind off actually on the back. It just made it like a little too loose in the back. I think a tighter bind off, just like a regular bind off, would be good for me, or an Italian sewn bind off or something like that would fit my body better. The other thing is there's this kind of like, you can see how it like comes in and then kind of like is a skinny little top up here. I almost wonder if for a fit that I would like a little bit more, if I would just change the rate of decrease here. So instead of it being kind of linear and then straight like this, if I would still do a linear, oh, I'm being too mathematical perhaps. I mean, when I say linear, I mean like a constant rate of decrease. What I think what I would do is maybe change my constant rate of decrease to be like a slower decrease. And so instead of it kind of coming up like this, it could just go like this. I don't necessarily like this little skinny bit up at the top too much. I also think a little bit more length would be nice, and now that I know that I have 11 grams left, I could play around with using up more of my yarn, because it is knit bottom up, so it made it harder to decide, like made it harder to make decisions about when to switch to just doing the front part. Okay, I want another one of these. Like, I want to like pick out another fun skein in my collection and just knit another one of these. I just adored using one skein. The process of this like definitely like outweighed the product for me. I love wearing my hand knits. I'm wearing a sweater I've made here, the Radvent. I love wearing things I knit. It's an important part of me. Like, creating a wardrobe for myself is an important part of my like joy as a maker, but I just really also enjoyed this small thing. Okay, I'm gonna try this on. I think, and I want advice. Maybe I'll be putting B-roll here or something like this. The fit. This, and I knew this getting into it. Like, I knew it, but I just wanted to do it like make the mistakes. Like I wanted to make something that I knew potentially wouldn't fit me well and I would struggle to style so that I could learn from it. Like just thinking about it sometimes isn't enough. You need to like take it to the next step. And I just feel like, yeah, I just feel like I wanted to see it on my body, imagine it. And so for me, the challenge with this is the bra straps. Like the bra straps poke out. So I really only have two kinds of undergarments in my bras. Like I have the kind I'm wearing where you can see the straps and like a sports bra. And if you have suggestions, let me know. This is important because I do want to wear this summer, but like, and there's nothing wrong with your bra strap like hanging out of a garment if that's what you want. It's just not something I want. And so I don't know, I'm kind of on the, it'd be nice for me to find something that maybe was a bra and it would stick out, but maybe was like thicker or like different looking. I don't know if you have any suggestions here or any styling suggestions. I would love to know that too. So love it. Not sure how I'm gonna wear it yet. I have two sweaters that I have really been working on. And the first is the Sammal sweater, which is a top-down drop shoulder sweater that will have a zipper. And as you can see, since I last recorded, I did not make a lot of progress. Here's my cute little dragon progress keeper, and I've maybe knit an inch or two since I last recorded. This sweater was cast on as part of the Boucle Buddies Cozy Make Along that I'm co-hosting with Emily, the Botanical Knitter, and today's the last day. I had envisioned finishing a boucle project in that time frame. It was a month and a half. That didn't happen, but as you can see from my finished objects, I got a little distracted, which is, it's definitely the case. I am easily distracted by yarn and projects, like, for sure. I do want to persevere through this. I don't want to give up on it, even though it is a slower project. I think that the knitting and the round of this is very hard. You can see I'm just like a very slow, super bulky boucle knitter. And so the round and round, even though I only knit 2 inches, like, I mean, I worked on it. I'm just like a slower, I feel like a slower knitter with the super bulky boucle. I think though this will be really fun to wear in the winter, and so I hope to keep working on this. I'm gonna sneak in some stitches here. My next project I'll show too, I am knitting that really slowly too. So I kind of have these two slow sweaters, and I was thinking about, well, it's like definitely putting the slow in slow fashion of like making your own clothes, and like it takes a while. Let me know if you have a slow project. Like, I'd love to know, like, what, like, maybe, am I the only one like this that like has a project that just takes a really, really long time? I would just love to know what your slow make is. Yeah, so Boucle Buddies Cozy Mal is over with, and to be honest, I'm really sad about it. This was such a joy. Like, I loved collaborating with Emily. I loved having this like little project with Shayla. She's knitting one of these, Shayla from Black Purl Magic. I really love boucle, and so I think even though the make along is formally done, like I'm still gonna be boucleing. All right, I'm gonna put this down and show my next work in progress. Do you remember? Like, have you been watching? Do you remember? It's the Heirloom quilt cardigan. I need to knit 27 rectangles for my cardigan. I've knit 26. I am one away. And the reason why the 27th one is not done is one of the colors I want to use is knotted up, and it's going to take some time for me to unknot it, and that created a hurdle, so then I just stopped. I'm going to do it though. I'm so close. 26 out of 27. Okay, here's one of mine. I think this was FAO Schwartz's color because I just really like this color in the middle. I don't remember what this green one was. There was a lot of green in this Advent, which I think just kind of spurred all this green because you saw my green tank top, the green small. Okay, look at this. This light pink with like tans. And this green has like little black flecks in it. It's a different green than this. And then this is a yellow. It reminds me of like Favorite Leather Boots from Chelsea Yarns, except that this one has like green and brown and hot pink speckles on it. And then this mint also is speckled. So I finished 3 rectangles since I last recorded, and I only have one more left. My last one is going to have a light mint background with a pink. Oh, hopefully I mentioned this is the Advent from 2023 from Chelsea Yarns, and I've officially like used all the yarn in the Advent. So I've knit all 25 mini skeins at some point, and that feels so good. It will probably feel even better when I can say all these rectangles are sewn together. I've made an entire sweater out of my Chelsea Yarns Advent. I definitely want, like, I'm not going to cast on a new project. Like, if you check this episode out and 2 or 3 weeks from now when I post my 51st episode, I'm going to be here to say I finished all these rectangles of this, and hopefully I will have started sewing them. I've left these long tails so that I can do that. So I'm so excited to be reaching this, like, it feels like a milestone with this slow sweater. So yeah, I have 2 sweaters I'm working on that are slower. Like, I can't just whip them out, like, because they take time. Like, this is going to take time to sew and pick up the stitches. And the Sammal, like, this body is going to be a bit of a slug because I'm such a slow knitter, but if I can get through that, it's going to feel so good to start the sleeves. And I'm sure that the zipper will slow me down. I will say this. People gave me so many good suggestions about zippers in the comments last episode. I was like, this is why I have a knitting podcast. The community, like, the amount of video suggestions for different YouTube channels of people who have done zippers and knitting, I am just so thankful. So thank you for all, if you commented, thank you. Okay, do I have other works in progress? Yeah, but I didn't really work on them since I last recorded. As you can see, like, those are kind of fiddly. There's some things going on. And so I found myself, since I last recorded, drawn to kind of an older work in progress, which is in this very cute bag by the Crafty Fox. And my third work in progress is something that I think is so appropriate to be sharing at the end of the semester. It's something that I cast on at the beginning of the semester, which is the half and half wrap. So the half and half wrap I purchased a yarn for from Purl Soho. It's the linen quilt. You've seen it, I'm sure, all around the internet. This is Peach Stone, the less fun colorway, because my other colorway is going to be neon pink, and it's called Pink Flamingo. I cast this on at the beginning of the school year, and my intent was to knit this in meetings, and then at the end of the school year have a half and half wrap. That would have been cool, except that I knit it at the beginning of school year meetings. I did do that. We have these, like, they're called like all faculty conferences, where we get like trainings and things like this at the beginning of the academic year. And I knit it there, and not really since. But since my other projects were like a little bit fiddly and it's the end of the semester, I was like, project was on my mind. And so I pulled this out. And so since I last recorded, I put a progress keeper so that you could see like how much I did since I last have shown this. So I probably have done this in the last 2 weeks. Okay, I need to tell you though about this very special progress keeper. So this progress keeper is a gift from my friend Melissa, who stitches Bee Slippin'. And I love the ocean. I love the beach. It's like, I love it. And Melissa does too, and she has a beach house. And at her beach house, she picked up some little shells and she made this progress keeper out of shells from her beach house. And so it's like special to me because it's like made by my friend and it reminds me of the ocean and my friend. And so thank you, Melissa. And so yeah, I put it on this project because I was thinking that I wanted to use like a really cool bag and a really cool stitch marker because this is a long-term project too. I think I need to knit 2 or 3. I have 3 skeins of this before I switch to the other. Are you one of the people that have knit a half and half wrap? How long did it take you? Some people have knit more than one. That's just incredible. This is gonna be like a blanket and it's fingering weight. So it's gonna take me a while. No pressure, but it's been nice. Like yesterday, I brought it with me to orchestra practice. There's one piece I'm not playing in. So I knit a little bit on the side with it. We are to the dream knitting section. So I just finished my tank top, and the entire time I was knitting the tank top, my 6-year-old Matilda, who's in kindergarten, she was saying she wanted a tank top. And it could have been the fact that like she liked my things, like she liked the yarn. I had it in this fun bag that matched the yarn. Like it could have been that. Like I don't know if she actually really wants to wear a knit tank top, but she definitely, like, every time I was knitting my tank top was telling me that she wanted a tank top. And when I finished my tank top, she was really excited, and she and autonomous and went into my yarn collection and she picked out yarn for a tank top. So this is what she picked out, and I'm not surprised. This yarn was a gift. I got it as part of a yarn swap, like gift swap I did this winter, and it is Blue Barn fiber in the colorway called Mermaid Fingers. And yeah, this screams Matilda. I'm not surprised that she picked this as her tank top, but she is asking for it a lot. The challenge for me is that there's not a lot of children's tank tops as designs out there. There are some. I looked on Ravelry, and the ones that I could find don't really seem like Matilda's style or like our style. Like they have lots of texture or patterning or cutesy, and I feel like for Matilda, like she has I think more modern, like a more modern tank top, I think is definitely a gap in the pattern literature, if you will. So I've been playing around with the idea of self-drafting, making her a tank top without a pattern. Let me know if you believe in me. I have an idea, and actually Kyle was working through the idea with me. Like it was like a team effort. We were talking about like what we would want in a tank top for Matilda, and yeah, so we'll see. I really want to cast this on pretty soon. I feel excited about it, so we'll see. Even though I want to do this, I don't want to like give up on my other sweaters I'm working on though, because I really want to see those through. So I think my plan is when I finish my last rectangle, my heirloom cardigan, to maybe as a reward to cast this on. And then I could have like round and round knitting for, like I'm going to be doing sewing and things like this, and when I get tired of it, I could pop over here and work on this. We'll see. Okay, it's April, and though it's April, it's the season where yarn dyers are posting their winter boxes, they're posting their Advent boxes. Let me know if you are even thinking about this. Is this even on your radar? Like, did you buy an Advent or winter box? Are you going to buy an Advent or winter box? If you're not, are you doing a swap? Is that one of your plans? I think more will open up. I'm not saying that all of them are open right now, but like some are definitely for sale right now as we speak. And there was just like so many good ones this year. there's so many good ones every year. And so I made a couple purchases, and so I wanted to share about that because it's like on my mind the end of the year, even though it's April right now. It's got me kind of dreaming. So the first winter box that I made a purchase for was from Black Purl Magic. So Black Purl Magic has a winter box, and the theme for it is just, oh, it's delicious. It's called Coquette Winter Box, and it's pink and lace and pearls, like everything I love. And so in my mind, I was like, this would be so great because I have Advents I still need to knit. I have a Bumblebee Acres from this year that I want to knit. I have 2 Chelsea Yarns Advents, so last year's and the year before, that are in progress but not completed yet, so I still need to like work on them. I have, it wasn't an Advent, but I have 25 mini skeins that are neon from Stitch Together Studio. It was not like a winter box or an Advent, but I have 25 mini skeins that are very rainbow neon I'd like to do something with. And so I have mini skeins, and I like the mini skeins. So I was imagining this winter box because the main thing is a beautiful bag. I was imagining getting this beautiful bag and maybe putting in things I already have in it and using that as my winter box. So that was the intent. So I was thinking, okay, this would be really great. And there's going to be more than just the bag. There's going to be like little notions. I don't remember everything that came with it. I think they're still for sale. I'll link it below. I just couldn't say no though. It honestly gave me like a little bit of Bridgerton vibes, which I love. Okay. So I was thinking maybe I wouldn't buy an Advent this year because I have mini skeins. I was thinking that. And then there were so many good ones. And there was like pink. So I purchased a Chelsea Yarns Advent. The theme of it is Chelsea on the Ranch, a Western holiday. And, you know, I don't necessarily identify with like Western cowboy kind of things, but the colors on this were just so good. There's like pinks and aquas, and then there was some browns and oranges in the background, which I could see myself knitting something in this. In fact, my initial reaction was there's a pattern called the Corey in Poncho by Amy Pelko, and a lot of people knit their Advents with that, and I was just thinking, oh my gosh, how appropriate. A Western pinky Advent with a poncho. But then also Vanessa Reyes, who does a lot of designs for knit collage and things like that. She's a very creative, innovative designer. I just love her stuff. I haven't knit anything, but I know her designs are really cool. Chelsea Yarns has her as a designer for the Advent box, and I'm just like, okay, so there's going to be a pattern that Vanessa designed. Like, it's going to be really cool. So yeah, I'm really glad I got that. I don't know if I'm going to do the poncho or if I'm going to do her design, but I'm really excited to get it. However, this does kind of change my dream knitting a little bit because there's so many good test knits going on right now. And I actually today in my inbox, Tammy Gore has a test knit, and to be determined on what I'm going to do. I feel it's so good. This short sleeve sweater is like so good that I want to apply for it. It's so good, but I'm like, okay, I'm getting another this is my third year getting a Chelsea Yarns Advent, and I'm like, I need to finish a Chelsea Yarns Advent project. I can't have three, do you know what I'm saying? I don't need to, but I want to finish those. I think, yeah, so I have the 2023 Advent, which is the Heirloom quilt. I've knit all the mini skeins, but I want to see this through. I want to sew the rectangles together, put on the sleeves, have this cardigan. Oh, I can finish. I have 2 finished Advent projects, and I love them. And so, yeah, I know that I will also love that cardigan. And so My other Chelsea yarns is from 2022, and it's a sweater, and it's like a raglan sweater. I forget the sweater I'm doing with mohair, and there's a bee here. The bee was scaring me. I wanted to finish those Advents. I didn't intend for 2024 to kind of be the year. Oh, okay, the bee is just frightening me. I mean, you can go inside. Basically, I have 2 Chelsea yarn Advents that I am mid knit and sweaters for, and I want to finish those before my third Advent arrives. And so I did not plan for 2024 to be the year of like mini skein knitting for me, but I'm trying to not apply for any more test knits so that I can finish the things that I truly want to finish and I'm enjoying knitting, and maybe dabble in some designs or at least self-draft things that like my daughter wants and have space for that. But it's hard when there's so many good test knits out there. We are to the Professor's Pearls segment of the episode, and that is the part of the episode where I connect my professor life to my knitting life. So I teach math education courses primarily at my university, and this semester I'm teaching a math content course. It's a sequenced course, and it's a second content course for my students. And even though it's math, at the beginning of class we have time where we talk about personal life, and so one of my students just yesterday was sharing about how stressed she is at the end of the semester, how like the stress levels as a student are like increased. There's more and more things due, the pressures are higher, things are busier, there's more going on. And she was sharing how she was noticing that she has less patience for her peers, and how she's more irritated by her peers than she is when she's not as stressed. And I really related to that, and it made me think about like how important it is for us to pour into ourselves before we pour into others. You know, there's that like saying that you like can't fill somebody else's cup if your cup isn't filled, and it really was making me think about self-care. And I do think a lot of self-care sometimes is marketed as like the bubble bath by yourself and things like this. And I think self-care is so personal, and so you have to know yourself and like what fills you up. And I feel like it's so important for me as like a mom and a professor, like because there's these different identities I have as a mom. Like my cup has to be filled so I can fill into my daughter's, and same deal as like a professor. Like I'm also like these people, like these children, like they're adult children, but they feel like my children, like their mentor and their person they lean on. And so I have to have my cup full so I can be patient and extend love and grace to them, and none of that can happen unless I'm taking care of myself. So I just thought I'd share some of the ways that I do self-care that's not a bubble bath. I feel like one thing that's really important for me with self-care is a walk and like being outside. Sometimes it's not possible for me to work out an hour at the gym or to do a 3-mile run or something like this. It's just not, my day doesn't have capacity for that. But maybe I do have capacity for like a 10 or 15 minute walk on my lunch, or a 20 or 30 minute walk while my daughter's in ballet class or acro or something like that. And so whenever there's like a space in my day, whether it's my lunchtime or one of Matilda's activities, I try to get like a little walk in. And I think there is a direct relationship between me moving my body and walking and my disposition. And I feel like I'm a better mother and professor teacher when I move my body and take a walk. I also think for self-care, like there's a direct relationship between like me being outside versus inside. And so like this, like I could record this inside my home. It probably would be a higher professional quality if I did record it inside my home. But recording this is an act of self-care for me, and like editing my podcast and like having a podcast, this is an area of self-care for me, of like having identities outside of academia and motherhood. And so like I feel like just sitting here on my porch, like this is enhancing my life in a better way and filling my cup, as cheesy as that sounds. And then the third thing that was on my mind is knitting. Knitting is such an integral part of my self-care because it's just very meditative to me. I know that like it's almost overused to say it brings me joy, but like it brings me joy. And I feel like my life is richer with knitting, not just the act of doing it, but like all the things that like manifest after it, like the friendships and things like this. And so, yeah. So then I was thinking about this as like, okay, it's a walking, it's outside, and it's knitting. And then I was thinking of it kind of like a Venn diagram and how like the sweet spot is when you can do all of it. Like one time I went on a hike with some women I met on the internet. I really didn't know them that well. This was a long time ago. I met up, it was like 2 summers ago, I think. So I met with these women that I met on the internet. And we go hiking and we do a sunset hike. This is why we're doing it together, because we were gonna like hike up this mountain as the sun was setting so we could be on the top of the mountain when the sun set and watch the sunset. It was so beautiful. And so yeah, it was like the Venn diagram of all those self-care moments, because it was like, okay, I'm on a walk up this beautiful hill, I'm outside taking in this gorgeous view, and then when I got to the top and we were relaxing, I took up my knitting. So that was the the trifecta there. And so I think like the porch for me is like this, because I'm outside and I often knit on my porch, and so it's like, it's not the trifecta, but it's like pretty close. And so yeah, I'd love to know like how you see knitting fitting into your space as self-care, or if knitting isn't a space for self-care as you, like what is your self-care that's not a bubble bath? I'd love to know that. I mean, there's other things too, like reading. I think reading is another space when I can make time for it. And so that's like, how do you sneak in the reading in your day when you've got like other things going on? I think one of the things I've been doing is trying to do it before bed. And this is why people like listen to audiobooks and things like this on a walk. So it's like that trifecta. It's not a trifecta, but it's kind of like a trifecta. You're moving your body, you're outside, and you're listening to a book. It's pretty cool. Anyway, tell me more about your self-care. We are to the personal section of the episodes. So from this point forward, there is no more knitting talk. So if you're not here to hear about my personal life, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the knitting, and see you next time. All right, let me share what I read. I've read one book since we last recorded. I'm going to get my notes here. I read Stitches and Witches, the second book in the Vampire Knitting Club book by Nancy Warren. Look, I cannot recommend this book to you. Like, I can't say like, this is a good book, you should read it. Because it's like, it's not good literature. I have a feeling like the books are going to be formulaic in the sense of like, there's 14 books in the series, I think. I loved it though. Like the vampire, paranormal, not well done. I'm not sure the author knits. Like I cannot give it compliments, but I can say that I love them. I've read 2 of them. I took a break and started reading something else because I was thinking, I love them so much. I don't want to like, because I suspect they're all kind of the same. I don't want to like kind of ruin myself on them. That being said, The second one, there is a budding romance of the main character. There wasn't like romance in it, but there was like, I'm seeing some foreshadowing maybe. Okay. I only read one book since I last recorded because it's the end of the semester, craziness, and yeah. So I'm currently reading 2 books. So last time I recorded, I finished reading Iron Flame, and it was mind-blowing. And so I did what anybody should do, and I'm rereading it because, look, there's definitely crazy things that happen at the end that I like can't stop thinking about and would love to chat about, and I am looking for clues now. Now, I understand that there's like podcasts and stuff on YouTube that I could probably watch where people like unpack all this. I haven't watched those, so if you have recommendations about that, I would love to know. The other book I'm reading is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I am reading that on my Kindle, and it's from the library. It's so good. It's also about vampires, like it's set in like vampires, werewolf. From what I read online about it, it should be a romance. It's not quite there yet. I'm pretty early on, like in the first 20% of the book, so I won't share too much about it, but I am really into it. I need to read it quickly. I kind of opened it up later from the library. I checked it out and then didn't start reading it, so I've got like 9 days to read it. We'll see if I can make it. I'm really into it. It's just the time's kind of a factor. So, spring break. Spring break was a lot of fun. A lot of people ask me, like in my real life, like, where'd you go? What'd you do? It was a staycation at home. Kyle's parents, they're from the Midwest. They drove all the way out here from Illinois to Oregon, wild, and they stayed with us, and Matilda got to spend time with them. We got to spend time with them. That was fun. And we did a lot of fun things. I had to write it out. Before they arrived, Matilda and I had a play date. We invited somebody that she swims with on her swim team over to play, and that was really fun. And then that afternoon, I had some free time because it was spring break, and I took Matilda to play bingo at the senior center, and it was so fun. And Matilda actually won, of course, and I didn't realize they win money. And they couldn't give her the money because kindergartner at the senior center playing bingo. But also, I did not know bingo was so serious. Let me know if you've played bingo in a serious capacity. I have never played this kind of bingo. You're making shapes. If you forgot to call your bingo right after, it didn't count, and they were really stern about it. People were serious. It was fun. And then Kyle's parents arrived, and one of the fun things we did is we went and did an olive oil tasting. I live in wine country, and there's lots and lots of wineries, but there are a few places that also grow olives and make olive oil. And I did an olive oil tasting with some work colleagues before, and it was really fun. And Matilda really likes their basil olive oil. It's like basil infused olive oil, and I put it on her lots of things for her lunch, and she loves it. And so I thought it would be fun to go olive oil tasting because Matilda could participate in it. She can't do wine tasting yet. We also did a hike, and Kyle's parents can't like do a rigorous hike, and so we did a gentle hike. And if you are out in the Portland area, or if you're by the yarn store Naughty Lamb, a hike that's near there, it's really gentle, is called Heirloom Ridge. It is wheelchair accessible. It's accessible to horses, and it's pretty short. It has 2 paths, but both are short, and you can get it done in under an hour. And on a sunny day, you can see 3 mountains. So I thought that would be fun. Then after that, we went to David Hill Winery. And one of the things I love about people visiting me is it makes me try new things. So I've never been to David Hill Winery, but it was near the hike, and I had people visiting, and so we went there. I picked that one because they offered snacks. So I know, like, I've done wine tastings in the Midwest and other areas, and so some wine areas, like, they have a culture of like having food at a winery. I would say in the Pacific Northwest, my experience with wine tasting is most places don't have food. It's mostly just wine and And so sometimes when I'm bringing Matilda, like one of my strategies is to look to see like what places offer a charcuterie board at least. And David Hill like had a charcuterie board plus other food. And so I knew that that would be a good fit to bring Matilda so she could snack while we're tasting wine. We did a bunch of other things, but I have to mention one of the things we did is go to Pip's Donuts. So again, if you ever vacation out to the Portland area or the Pacific Northwest, there's kind of a donut culture. People love to go get donuts and things like this. And their popular donut places are like Voodoo Donuts, Blue Star Donuts, but I am particular about Pip's Donuts and their chais. It's just magical. There's a newer location for Pip's, like a second location they've added in Beaverton, which is like a suburb of Portland. Actually, one of the yarn stores on the Roasted Yarn Crawl is in Beaverton for yarn's sake, and not that far from there is a Pip's Donuts. And it's called Pip's Donuts West, and they have like a train logo, and I haven't been to it yet, so we went there. Loved it. Matilda loved it. I was like, I'm going to eat 12 donuts. I'm gluten-free, and so I did eat the gluten. I was like, this is going to be a little painful, but it's going to be worth it. So we also went to OMSI. Before spring break, we went to OMSI because they had a new dinosaur exhibit. And so I thought, over spring break, I was like, we need to go back when it's like less busy, because I went on the Sunday that's like $5 to get in. And so I was like, over spring break, we need to go back so we can like see the dinosaur exhibit when it's less busy. I wasn't thinking it's spring break. Everybody's going to OMSI because it's spring break and it's rainy out. Actually, spring break was a mix of like rain and really sunny, like almost like summer. So we went and saw the dinosaur exhibit again, and 2 times in a row it was so busy at this museum. And poor Matilda, she's like, I want it to be less busy. I need to go back when it's less busy. I'm like, girl, yes. Okay. After OMSI, I searched it, and not that far away from OMSI, which is the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry, is a Portland leather store. There's 2 Portland leather stores in Portland, and I've actually never been to them. I have Portland leather goods. I love Portland leather, but I haven't been, and I needed to go to the mothership. Look, here's what I didn't realize at the Portland leather store. In store only, they have things that are called unicorns, which are like purses that are made one of a kind. Like this can't be bought on their website. Like they use a special leather and then try it out. I don't know. And then they have special labels, unicorns. But I didn't need a new purse, and I really wasn't planning on buying a purse. So Matilda and I looked for unicorn purses and had a fun time. But what I ended up getting was, here. Matilda found this. So this had the unicorn label on it too. It's almost this like Tiffany blue leather. It's this little pouch. And so I purchased this so that I got a special unicorn, but it was tiny. And what I came home and did is I put my stitch markers inside of it. So I thought that was fun for spring break. Get a little treat. Okay. We did more than that on spring break, but you don't need to hear every little detail. If you're still here, I'll tell you what I did after spring break. After spring break, you know, it's like, well, spring break was overlapped with Holy Week, but after spring break was Easter, and our family celebrates Easter, and it was so fun. And one of the things that happened is that Matilda had 6 Easter egg hunts across that week. And I think the fact that we live like 3,000 miles away from family, that my daughter can be in a space where she has 6 Easter egg hunts is like amazing. I feel like just so happy that we have the community and friends to where like we are so far from family, but she's still like had 6 Easter egg hunts. One of them, like very like Pacific Northwest life, like the people hid the eggs in these like rose bush trees, and so like these rose bushes, and so Matilda kept getting like her dress was getting stuck, she was getting stuck, and like she was just like, who would hide eggs and thorns? It was funny to me. I'm like plucking her little dress out. Okay, this past Friday was wild, but like I won't walk you through my entire busyness, but I had like a family math night on Thursday night, a recruiting event, but the highlight of my Friday was I have been, over the past year, mentoring my very first doctoral student. I teach graduate classes sometimes at the university, like research methods and things like this, but I had my very first doctoral student, and she defended her dissertation and she passed. I thought she'd cry. She didn't cry. I cried. I was crying. I was so proud of her, and it was such a celebration, and I'm still kind of riding that high a bit. This week has been busy because I play the clarinet in an orchestra, and we have a big performance on Sunday, and like with opera singers, and like it's a big event. And so there's been extra practices, and then this coming Saturday I have a 3-hour practice and like a practice before my performance. And so yeah, it's been busy, but I'm so thankful I can play my clarinet. I've played my clarinet since I was a child, and I didn't not major in music because I thought, like, I knew I wanted to pursue math, and so I ended up not majoring in music. I thought I would, but I didn't, and I love that music still gets to be part of my life, and so that was really fun. And I think I told you about everything without this making it an hour long. Maybe the next time I record, my semester will be over. Actually, if I record this every 2 weeks like I try to, the next time I record it'll be in final exam time. So when I record next, I will either be in the midst of final exams and grading, or I will be finishing my semester. Either way, I feel like this academic year went so fast, and knowing me, I should cast something on to celebrate the end of the year. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great week.